I got all kinds of questions for you. Come on in, have a seat.
Yeah, I came in the fall of '76.
Well, come on in here and throw on the headphones.
I retired from football in 2008 and got out of teaching. Am I supposed to put this
Yeah,
on?
throw those on. And then, yeah, just bring that. I'm going to get that cord out of your way, and then you should be able to just, set that right on top of your head there, Coach. Coach Randy Scott, Paulie said you were like the godfather of Bettendorf football.
Well, I've been here a long time, so I guess that kind of goes with the territory.
Are you in this book here?
Yes.
You were probably. Oh, there you are. Coach Randy Scott, assistant coach, 1976 through 99, and head coach 2000 through 2007 at Bettendorf High School. There's how many state titles are in those dates?
Well, 7. We played in 10 state games and won 7 of them.
Holy smokes!
Yeah, 5 as an assistant, and then I had 2 as a head coach.
When you won your first state title,
That was in 1981.
do you guys get rings and all that stuff that they give out now? Like back then,
Yeah,
what do you have from back then when you won? What'd they give away?
Well, the state gave you a hat, and kids always wanted rings, so we always had Jostin's ring company come in. They design their rings, get that, and then you always got a medal from the state. And then as the years went on, the state would take a team picture before the state game, and then win or lose, then you would get a plaque.
Oh, how cool!
They are cool. They're kind of a neat deal. And then they also Farm Bureau got into the act a little bit, and they sent all the schools, like how many kids you had on the team, those autographed footballs with state championship or state runner-up such a year. And then after the season was over, we're getting a big circle, and everybody started out with their own ball. They'd insignate somewhere on their ball, so they would send it all the way around, and then when that ball got back, then they were done. Everybody had signed.
Oh, that's
footballs.
pretty neat.
Had all, we had coaches, trainers, student managers, and all the kids that made the trip to the Dome. So yeah, that was pretty cool. I've got it. That's kind of a neat memento to have.
What do you do with the program now? Because you're not completely disengaged. There's no way.
Well,
Are you like a consultant at this point?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, but they've got their own ideas now, and but if I see something, I do. It's just in my blood to, maybe say something. Hey, what about this? Thought about doing this, or maybe something like that. But that'd be about it. And I do go out and watch practice. That's kind of a neat deal. Go up and just sit and watch the kids. Aaron runs the program now. It's not my program. It's his program, and he's done a great job. So.
When you were coaching and with Coach Aaron, was there any crossover? Like, how did you guys work together within the program for a while?
He was my defensive coordinator.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and actually, most of the assistants that I had on my staff are still there, or still around. Not many of those coaches have left. So a lot of those coaches now that he has on his staff, I hired.
Are you a homebody or do you travel at all?
I travel.
Where's your favorite place to go?
Well,
or do you have a couple places?
Well, I like to go back to Cedar Falls. I played at UNI. I like to go up there especially in the fall, for homecoming or special games. Go back up and see a bunch of my college teammates. My senior year football team at UNI, we're being inducted into the UNI Hall of Fame at the end of the month.
That's pretty cool. Why?
Yeah, we were called the Mud Bowl team. We made the playoffs in 1975, the Division II playoffs, played at home in mud, got beat by Western Kentucky, but it was one of the best years UNI had in a long time. And, it was a very tight-knit group, but we played in mud like this. I mean, there's
no kidding.
Oh, yeah, nobody could hardly score. I think we got beat maybe 14-12 or something like that.
Are there some cool pictures and footage and stuff hanging around from that, or not?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah,
It'd be neat if someone could dig some of those pictures up. I'm sure somebody took some decent pics.
Oh yeah. There's some floating around, no doubt. But yeah, pretty cool.
I'm talking like travel to relax, or is it just all based around? I mean, is football just life?
Well, I do have 2 granddaughters and a son. A son that played for Bettendorf, was an all-state defensive back. Went on to play at UNI as a defensive back, was a co-captain up there. So I did, that's the one reason I got out when I did from football. I wanted to kind of track him and watch him play, because there was just no way I could have done the right things, running a high school program and then trying on weekends to drive all over the country to watch him play. I just made the decision. I'm not going to miss that. Those are, life's all about memories.
I got a question for you, Coach. When you are an accomplished football coach, and then you have a son who is an accomplished football player, is it hard for you, or do you even try to remove coach hat and just wear dad hat and enjoy the game, or is it's so hard to take coach hat off?
No, you got to treat every player the same. Even though he's my son, when he needed his ass to get chewed out for something, that happened. But he was, like all kids that I have, very coachable, very hard workers, and but he didn't get treated special because he was my son.
Well, what I mean is, because that's kind of the obvious question. My question is more like from a fatherly sense of pride thing. Because as a coach, when you have any of your players do really well, you're really proud of them. But only one of those guys is your son out there, and so it's a different feeling. Is it easy to transition from dad to coach on that, from that aspect?
Yeah. My last game, his last game, was when we came back and beat Ankeny in the final 20 seconds to win a state championship. So that's pretty special to be on the field with him and watch him play and win a state championship game. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, what a memory. I mean, what a special memory. Holy smokes.
That is neat.
Yeah.
That is neat.
Yeah.
I also see on your shirt you've got an old school Reflex fitness products. I'm in the fitness industry, so we sell exercise equipment.
Mike Adolfson was the guy. We had a small weight room for years, and then one of our boosters was a team effort. Took the ball and ran with it, and paid for most of it, and we enlarged our weight room.
Yeah, you guys have a great facility.
Yeah, enlarged our weight room. We went from a very small weight room, and then he did all the work, called in all the cards that he had, and designed this weight room, and then of course then we needed some equipment, and I'd run into Mike, or we had bought some single piece machinery from Mike, and then I knew I was real sold on his equipment. Did a great job, and would go over to his place in Illinois and just take a look. And he designed a lot of our platforms and benches, and he did a great job.
Yeah,
for us. Yeah, he's just really a great guy.
And I was happy for them. They sold the Rogue. They got done, and they did what they needed to do. But man, I'll tell you what, in the 90s through the 2000s, if you were a school in the Midwest, you had Reflex equipment somewhere in your school.
It amazed me every time I'd go over there, and he'd have all this equipment or dumbbells. I go, where's that going? Going to this pro team or to this Power 5 team? I mean, he had good stuff, and people around the country knew that.
I have the original Reflex Fitness Products sign that sat out in front of the original building. It's an old porcelain sign.
Yeah.
And Mike gave that to me when they were
nice.
closing up the shop. I was out there picking and looking around. I'm just like, man, I want to have a little piece of Reflex here before all this stuff
You're going
goes
to have
away.
to say hi to Mike when you see him next, because I haven't seen him in years.
Hopefully he's watching the live stream. So he follows me on Facebook.
yeah.
I actually just bumped into him up at the TBK Center 2 nights ago.
Oh, wow.
He came in, and I see him in the wild every once in a while. So he's still bouncing around and
good.
And just a very very charming guy.
Oh yeah, I just haven't, with being out of Bettendorf High School and not being involved in buying weight equipment or running weight programs, I just kind of, he's kind of disappeared out of my life. But I think of him a lot. Right? See weight equipment going, God, I wonder if Mike made that stuff. But he made great. And I mean, we used his equipment for years. And I mean, his equipment got the shit beat out of him because I mean, kids were, we had, on a Saturday morning we'd have 150 kids in the weight room.
Jeez.
On a Saturday morning, 150 kids. Yeah.
Well, and the stuff holds up because we see it on the secondary market too, and it still holds value. And anybody who knows exercise equipment, they know Reflex and everything else. Hey, tell me about this golf outing though, Randy. You've been involved in the program forever. This thing's been in its 17th year.
Yeah, they started this about the year after I got out. But it's for a good cause. A kid that played for me, Keith Lucier, was an offensive lineman, had a brain aneurysm, was very involved with Bettendorf, being a Bulldog, and he was an all-state player for me, and then he went on to play a couple years down at Truman State. So that's all centered around him, and it's a good cause because they the money's used towards football, stuff that maybe the schools say, we don't want to, it just gives them some flexibility with money to buy things, and now, travel instead of riding the old yellow school bus across the state or 200-300 miles. Now, now they can rent charter buses. It just makes it nice for the kids. They do special things for the kids that not normally was being done in years previous. So. It's just nice. It's nice. And Robbie Fern does a great job with, doing this. And it brings back a lot of the old players, which is really special for me to come and see. And because boy, once they get out of high school, a lot of them just took off and go across the country, and you just don't get to see those. And like I said, this whole coaching thing is all about memories, and every time I see a kid, it brings back a special memory in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, especially at this event too, because everybody, it's almost a reunion of sorts, right?
Oh yeah.
Have you seen anybody today that you didn't think you'd see, or that you bumped into that you haven't seen in a while?
Yeah, probably about 10 different people. And then some of the parents too that that still are. Like to come to Bettendorf games, but a lot of former players, the kids that played the late 70s, 80s, you just don't see those guys every day. But it's just I like to come and hang out. I don't I asked Aaron if I could do, or Robbie if I could do something. They got it all. It's just great for me. I just come back and hang out and just kind of.
Where's your haunts around town at? Where do you like to sit and maybe knock one back and watch a football game? You got a couple favorite hangouts?
One of our former players, a guy named Austin Chesney, he owns a public house in Davenport, which is a kind of a sports bar, and now he's got 3 bars in Bettendorf. He's got the Ridge, he's got Candies, and a place that I usually go to is Oak Grove.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's his joint too.
Yeah. He owns all those.
Yeah, that's a good place.
Yeah, he's a former player. He played for us. He's a wide receiver. You're back in probably the 80s. But
you just gave him a nice plug there, Randy.
Oh, yeah, well,
that's good.
He's a good guy. His wife Jonah and him they're really good. He's really good. Like the Gerskases, Suburban Construction. I mean, my gosh, the money that they have over the years donated for events like this, or to do this or do that. Austin does the same things. So, that's good. It's always great when I see somebody or go to events like this and you know see that they become very successful. There's a lot of lawyers and teachers and coaches, and just people that the ones that I really is the American Pickers.
Oh,
Mike
yeah.
and Robbie Wolf and Frank Fritz. I had them all in high school.
Did you really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's pretty neat
Yeah.
to be able to look back and
Yeah,
say, hey, I remember when those guys were sitting in
yeah.
my class.
And back in the day, you're thinking, jeez, no way they're going to amount to anything. But they all have fell into their niche, and it's just amazing to see those guys on TV or run into them. It's really fascinating. But yeah, that's a true story.
What did you teach?
Phys ed.
Phys ed.
Yep. Yep.
Do you miss that? Do you miss teaching? I'm sure you miss coaching quite a bit.
Well, you know what I miss the most of the whole thing? I miss football practice. Because practice was to me the best time. It was time where I was teaching, installing, and being around all these kids that were just gun-ho and just full of energy, and my coaching staff, just a good time. I had a great staff back in the day. That's one of the neat things that I always tell people that I really miss besides practice is usually at the end of each practice, bring all the kids together, and I would start out with maybe a lesson in life or something that's occurred and talk to them about it, and then I would turn it over to each individual coach to talk whatever they wanted to do, whether it was about school or life or this or that. Something, I always told the kids, when you leave Bettendorf High School, I want you to be a finished product. I want you to be able to go out into society and perform at a high level. That's what makes me the proudest. And that's, there's a lot of them have done very well. Very proud of that thing. I really am. But yeah, that was the whole deal there. Yeah.
I'm a small town guy, and it's always great to see people that stuck around town, started a business, had a family, started roots in that community. I'm a Wilton guy, and I'm transplanted into Bettendorf now with my wife, who's a Bettendorf alum. But it's amazing how many people in the Quad Cities went to school here, have started businesses here, and really are the backbone of the local economy.
Oh yeah.
And I imagine it's so interesting to hear you speak from the perspective of a former educator and former coach who've known all these people since they were kids, and now to see them flourishing and running businesses and families and being just successful in life.
Makes my heart smile. Rewarding. It makes my heart smile when I see that. It just so great. It makes my heart smile.
Yeah.
To see some of these people. It's really great.
Tangledwood is the after party, right?
Yeah.
Are you going to be swinging by there? Are you going to be signing autographs?
Yeah, well, not autographs, be swinging a few beers. But yeah, I'll see a few more of the, guys, and a lot of parents will probably show up there too for the social. Drink a few beers, get something to eat. But yeah, that usually takes most of the evening.
Do you get stopped around town? Like, do people stop you and want to talk football? Or not as much anymore?
Not as much anymore, if they're saying, what's going on? What's going on around here? What's your view on this? A little bit of that, but, those days are all gone. And
I imagine when you were really cooking with gas, when you were coaching and really in the thick of it, I got to imagine you were quite a public figure around town where people would recognize you and stop you, right?
No doubt. Being the head football coach at Bettendorf High School is a big position in the community of Bettendorf. I'm telling you, that's a high.
That's what I'm getting at. Like, I imagine you're very recognizable. And
when I took over for Merv Hobenick, who, is the same thing, he was, just a high thing, he was, just a high figure in, being a teacher and a coach, just a Bettendorf. Because, people, he always said, you know, the football team at the beginning, you want your football team to get off on a great start because that's the start of school, and it starts school on a very positive note. You know, enthusiasm, spirit is high, everything. And it all relates to your football program, and how well they do.
You know what? No one's ever said it like that to me either.
But it is.
And that's so when I hear you say it, it's like, well, yeah, obviously, I've never really broke it down. I've never correlated the beginning of the school season and if you are really kicking butt with your football team, how that just elevates the whole school.
Student body. It's the whole student body's jumping on, and you know, games are just going. You know, doing all these crazy things in the stands, and you know, and of course, Bettendorf always drew really big crowds. I mean, really, you know, filled the stadium, and it's just, you know, football was in Bettendorf on Fridays was kind of like Texas.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and we're what are we? I was talking to Coach Aaron. He said we start Monday, right?
Yeah.
Here we are. We're already in football
yeah,
season.
yeah,
We're
yeah.
This is the kickoff.
Yeah, well, you know, I always told people when July 4th passed, you know, summer's over, football's starting. But yeah,
I got a question for you, Coach. This trophy, from what I'm surmising here, is this is the best record in Scott County, and then they give you this trophy.
You know,
did they stop doing that?
Yeah, they did, and they just reinvented it this year. But that was something, yeah.
I think that's kind of cool. So,
yeah.
You've got all the Davenport schools, Bettendorf, PV, anybody in Scott County.
Yeah.
Best record, you get your name on the trophy, and this kind of travels around.
Yeah, I think a guy named Dr. McCabe over in Davenport, he started that back way, you know, a long, long time ago. And then for some odd reason, he passed away, and it just went into mothballs.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, somebody said, hey, how about that? So, yeah, it's kind of a neat deal, yeah.
That is neat. What are you doing the rest of the day here? You just kind of hanging out and shaking hands, or what? I hope you're not. I hope your guys aren't waiting for you to tee off.
No, I'm not a golfer anymore.
They've been waiting for a while.
I'm not a golfer anymore. I'll go home and hang out and watch a little TV and just probably do a little cleaning.
Do you host a big Super Bowl party? Is your house the football house?
No, not really. It's usually my son-in-laws or son or daughters is where they usually I go for football.
Will you open up the Quad City Times and read the scores and the highlights of all the local? Like, are you deep into it?
I follow all the teams every fall. You know, they're good players and who's playing well and that. Yeah, and